I'm Jackson Rudolph with Team Paul Mitchell Karate, and this is the Figure 8 tip of the month. Figure 8 is one of the most basic manipulations that you will ever do, but it's also actually a strike. I'll give you a quick history lesson here. Back in ancient China, they were very agricultural. They did a lot of farming. But in ancient China, they didn't have plumbing, so they'd have to go to the river, which could be several miles away from the farm, put water on buckets, put the buckets on a bow staff, and put it on their shoulders and walk back like this. Well, around that time, there were these bad guys called Mongolian imperialists. Genghis Khan. Anybody? No? All right. Anyway, so bad guys would come and they would try to rob the farmers. And to rob the farmers, it was pretty easy because they had water on their backs and you could just walk up, punch them in the gut, and take all their money. However, farmers had to figure out a way to defend themselves. So what they would do is they would hit a horse stance. They would set down one bucket, followed by the other bucket, and then come through in a figure 8 motion that would strike the collarbone, breaking the collarbone and disabling their opponent. So figure 8 is a manipulation. It's taught as a manipulation today, but it's actually the most traditional strike because it was the first bow staff strike. The Mongols then took these self-defense tactics that the Chinese were using. They began to use it in their own military, and as they pillaged all of Asia, the Japanese, the Koreans also saw it, and that's how you get some karate, some taekwondo, some other arts variations of bow staff. So anyway, the figure 8 in and of itself, you're starting with right palm up, left palm down. The hands are going to be about an inch apart from each other in the center of the bow. I'm right-handed, so I like to have my right foot in front of my left. And you bring it down to the right side, leading with that right end of the bow. I like to describe this to kids as almost scooping ice cream out of a bowl into their spoon, picking up that ice cream, and then dipping it down into another bowl on the other side. You're always going to follow that one end of the bow. That same end comes up, and then down, and up, and then down. You want to continue that motion straight through this way. This is the base figure 8. Now, from this position, you also want to have your students take one hand off the bow and do only a right-handed figure 8, and go back to both hands and continuing the same exact motion. The motion never changes, and then take the left hand off the bow. Okay, this provides a lot of versatility going into and out of strike combos and trick combos. I can use a figure 8 to go from a forward strike to a thrust. I can use a figure 8 to go from a forward strike to an around the back to get to a release. I can use a figure 8 to go from some type of trick into another strike. So figure 8s are an excellent, excellent transitional move no matter what situation you're in, and being able to do them in one hand will be even more beneficial because if you were to catch the bow in one hand, need to get to point B, you can just do a half figure 8 and get to the position that you need to be in. You can also do a couple upgrades of the figure 8 known as double doubles and windmills. Double doubles, you simply figure 8, and some people will teach this as a bunch of individual movements to get yourself turned around in a circle, but the way that I teach it is to just do your figure 8 and without stopping your arms, just try to spin around all in one motion. Don't think about it, just push off and go. 3, 2, 1. And normally when people do it that way, it may look a little bit sloppier than that at first, but at least you're not doing choppy step-by-step motions trying to figure out how to spin around. And for the windmill, you simply take the figure 8 and then you're going to change that figure 8 into what we call a reverse figure 8. So instead of the right hand leading the way down, the right hand will now scoop up and then sweep back. So the right hand goes up, back, up. So you're basically just drawing an 8 with that right hand. Now going the reverse direction as to when you were normally going the forward direction. To do a windmill, you simply go from the forward figure 8, you shift back to the opposite side, turning your wrist over, reverse figure 8 to the opposite side, and then when that left hand comes back through the top, you go back to the front. So the windmill full speed would be from the figure 8 here, doing one reverse figure 8, and then coming back through. Figure 8s are an excellent move for transitions. They also help develop a lot of speed, and they're also a very good training technique for working both traditional striking and the manipulation creative aspect of the move. I'm Jackson Rudolph, and that is your figure 8 tip of the month.